Hi, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a little bit different. In this one, I'm going to be going over some tips for new Pharah players on Overwatch. So, if you are, I'd say, anywhere above Diamond, this probably won't do much for you, and even if you're a beginner, you might know some of these tips, but these are just my personal tips. I've mained Pharah since Season 2 of Competitive, and I have put about 178 hours into the hero and have made the hero for a very, very long time. So I am a mid-diamond player. That is my peak. That 3,265 is my peak. So I feel like I can maybe give some beginners or some lower ranked players some tips of how to not only rank up, but to overall just play better as the hero. So let's get right into it. So I set us up on Eichenwald for the first tip that I'm going to give, and that is learn the flanks. There are a lot of videos out there that show you how to flank as different heroes, and there are some for Pharah. Just learn different ways to get up and around the team. Like right here, you can flank behind on Eichenwald if you're attacking and go over them and end up behind them. You can also come over to this side and flank around the back. Try to learn your flanks. They're very, very important. They can help you a lot when you're trying to either go for your ultimate or when you're trying to just get some cheap damage in. Eichenwald is one of my favorite Eichenwald is one of my favorite maps to play Pharah on, just because I can flank behind the team and usually get a cheap kill on a healer or DPS because they don't expect me. So that helps a lot. So the next tip that I'm going to give is don't worry about sensitivity. Now, when I say don't worry, I should say experiment and play with whatever sensitivity you want. Now, I play at a 14.24 sensitivity, which is very high for most heroes, and especially Pharah. Most Pharah players play with a low sensitivity, but I personally play better with a high sensitivity. And I suppose this could go for every hero. Just play whatever sensitivity that you personally believe you can do the best at. So number 3, or the third tip, is going to be don't try to fight bots. For Pharah, it's not going to... The issue with trying to do bots with Pharah, it makes sense to do it with McCree or certain other heroes, but with the Ana bots. But with Pharah, if you try to do bots, they're going to somewhat move in a predictable manner. I'm not saying it's obviously going to be RNG related, but you're never going to get the same feel as if you're fighting a certain like actual person in a quick play or competitive game. So keep that in mind when you're going into fighting. Don't just practice in quick play, practice in arcade, and you should get the hang of it. The next tip is going to be rocket sensitivity and rocket direct hits are not necessarily the only thing that's going to dictate how well you do. This basically means when you are firing a rocket and it does splash damage, let's say there's like right here on this map, because a lot of people like to do it. Let's say there's a Torbjorn set up with his turret right here and a Bastion. And then there's maybe a Mercy damage boosting one of them right here. If you are coming into attack and you are over here and you fire, assuming there's not a barrier there, you did damage to them all. So when you are fighting, don't only focus on getting direct hits. If you can, that helps a lot, but direct hits isn't all that you can do, so keep that in mind. The next tip is be sure to use cover and know each map's surroundings. Now, this is honestly more of a just thing with time. If you're a new player, this is going to be kind of hard because there's quite a few maps in this game. But learn where you can and can't be. Learn where the best places are. Learn where people like to set up. Learn where your counters usually set up. meaning like whatever counter you have, learn where they set up. Like Widowmaker is a great counter for Pharah, so when you are in here, know that they're usually she'll be set up either usually here or way over here, somewhere around here, and on the point usually over here. So learn where your counters play, learn where where there's a habit of whoever counters you, and use that to your advantage. So the next tip is be sure to use your ultimate, because, and this goes for all heroes, but Pharah in particular, like, she charges her ultimate very, very quickly, and especially if they have a very bulky tank like a Roadhog or a D.Va, it's very easy to charge your ultimate if you're getting those direct rocket hits and splash damage, constantly firing, constantly shooting, fighting the tanks, fighting the healers, and then immediately reloading and just continuing it. You're going to get your ultimate fast, and it's extremely powerful. But going hand in hand with that, the next tip that I'm going to give is know who to use your ultimate on, and don't try to be the hero. What I mean by that is don't always try to go for the big 6-man team kill. If you have your ultimate and there's a couple minutes left and you know that your team doesn't really have ultimates, maybe you don't have a Zarya to combo with or a Reinhardt to combo with, or an Orisa that can pull them in with the mini Graviton Surge, when you go in to use your ultimate, know who to use it on. Don't be afraid to just kill off a Mercy or kill off Ana or get a important pick that can help you change the game. If maybe they only have one person who can really counter you, let's say they have a Widowmaker, don't be afraid to kill the Widowmaker with your ultimate. That way you can do work on the other team members and probably get your ultimate pretty fast. So the next tip I'm going to give is pay attention to your fuel. If you're playing Pharah, a lot of people, you'll see them go up and just hold down their fuel and be shooting and slowly just descend because they're running out of fuel. With Pharah, you can stay in the sky permanently if you know your surroundings right. And now, obviously, there's times when you'll want to jump down if you maybe have a healer on the ground that's not a Mercy or an Ana. Like if you maybe had a Brigitte, a Moira, a Lucio, you'd probably need to drop down for heals, or if you need to get behind cover, an ultimate, a counter, whatever. Other than that, if I came right out of the door and boosted myself up, wait until you boost fully up and watch your fuel. And as you see you're getting low, pop yourself with Concussive Blast, and by then, your boost is going to be back up and you're back up in the sky. You can stay in the sky pretty much indefinitely unless you need to drop down for some reason. So use this to your advantage, and you can get higher and higher the more you watch your fuel. I see a lot of Pharah players dangling really close to the ground, and although it's easier for hit scans to hit you if you're really high up, it's also good if they don't have one, or if you've killed their hit scan. The next tip is going to be don't be afraid to fight your counters. Pharah can whip Soldier 76, can whip McCree, can whip Widowmaker, and even D.Va to some degree. A lot of Pharahs are scared to fight counters, but let me put it into perspective. Your direct rockets can two-shot any of your counters except D.Va. Two-shot. If you hit 2 direct rockets on a McCree, or on a Soldier, or on a Widow, you are going to two-shot them. And the thing about this is dive them. That I'm going to just combine that with this tip, is learn how to dive certain heroes. And what I mean by that is, for an example, let's say that the Soldier is sitting right here, shooting at your team through the choke, tearing down Reinhardt's shield. Don't be afraid if you see no one's with them, if they're all on the other side, to just boost up, Concussive Blast, and dive them. And it's very effective, and a lot of times they'll panic. You can tell they'll get flustered and not know what to do, and you'll be able to end up killing them. The next tip is learn how to use Concussive Blast right. So I'll head over to the bridge for this. Concussive blast is kind of improperly like noted as being just a boop effect to where okay the payload's coming up through here and you're attacking and their team is set up right here and they have a Reinhardt and stuff and you're over here and you jump up and you boop the Reinhardt off and whoever else. That is very effective, but there's so many tips I'm gonna just combine it all into one thing here. With Concussive Blast, it's a very versatile move. If you are near something that you can bounce off of, it gives a larger radius effect and it boops them different direction, either horizontally or whatever, and you can boop them off the edge or boop them off certain sides of buildings or objects, and it will give you different effects than just hitting like directly on the ground like there. If you were to go like that, it would be different than if you were to bounce it off one of the sides of these bricks of the sides. And honestly, something that I see a lot of high-end Pharahs do that I do that a lot of newer Pharah players don't do is booping tanks or booping anyone that is overextending forward towards your team, basically punishing bad positioning on their part. So I'll use this tip again. But let's say their team is set up here. They have a Reinhardt, an Orisa, and DPS and heals and all that. And the payload's coming. Your payload, you're attacking. You're coming up this way. And you branch off and go up here. And boop the Reinhardt or Orisa. Usually the Reinhardt forward. When he has his shield up, he will fly forward. And because he knows he'll have to take down his shield most likely to get back to his team because he's so close to your team, he'll usually put down his shield, and that is your time. And basically another tip is just shoot behind shields. Go behind them, flank, shoot behind Reinhardt shields, shoot behind Orisa shields, and it will definitely pay off in a big way. And the next tip that I am going to give is be able to do synergy. If you have a Zarya that has Graviton Surge, don't be afraid to ask her if she has it, if she wants to combo, where she is. Check the map, know where your teammates are, and combo with Reinhardt, combo with Zarya. There's a lot of heroes you can combo with, honestly. Combo with an Ana if you maybe don't have a Genji that has Nano Blade ready, or Dragon Blade, or Soldier 76 that has Tactical Visor ready. Or like a Reaper with Death Blossom, or basically anything, because Barrage is extremely powerful on its own, and with Ana's Nano Boost, it does some insane damage. You can really wipe out a team with that. The next tip that I'm going to get is try to be sure of who has ults when, and this goes for both teams. Now, with the whole, you can actually see, like, the ultimate charge, it helps a lot, so that doesn't really matter with your team, but still, don't be afraid to press tab and find out who has what. And for the other team, just try to keep in mind, this is more just overall game sense and game knowledge, keep in mind when they use their ults, how long it usually would take a hero like that to get it, and all that good stuff. So, overall, besides the obvious stuff like focusing healers, being conscious of your surroundings, staying on payload when you need to, all that stuff, that's mostly it. The final thing that I'll say, this isn't really a tip, it's just more kind of something that I feel is obvious. Pharah is extremely good at spamming like junk. On this point, I love either side of this point. I love Eichenwald in general as Pharah, and she works very well with Junkrat, so keep that in mind. If you want to pick her and be with Junkrat, like if Junkrat is the other DPS on your team, Pharah and Junkrat, especially on a map like Eichenwald, is extremely good. So that is going to be it for my tips for playing Pharah for new players. Definitely try her out, because when I first tried her, I remember that I really enjoyed the playstyle that she had, and it's something that she's a very versatile hero and very good at different situations, and you can really pick her in a lot of different comps if you know how to play her right, and she can really do a lot for your team. So I'll talk to you guys later. This has been Jay Morse, you guys, signing off, saying farewell.